Welcome to episode 2 of my brisket trimming series, where I trim brisket like the professionals in hopes that their tips and tricks will be adopted into my technique. In today's episode, I will be trimming brisket like Bradley Robinson from Chuds Barbecue. Bradley pretty much does it all on the barbecue scene. Not only does he smoke and grill meats, but he even manufactures his own barbecue pits. Also, his YouTube channel is one of the most entertaining and educational ones out there, so definitely make sure to check him out. So the video I'm following today was one he posted about a year ago, and it's called How to Properly Trim Brisket. And I'll have a link to that video along with his channel in the description below. So enough talk, and let's do this thing. So we have a beautiful prime brisket, 11 pounds that I got from my local butcher. And the first step that we need to do is cut open the package, of course. Bradley actually had a very clear instruction for this part. He says when you open the package, let me turn this over, you want to cut it on this part of the fat right here. Reason being is that one of the first steps is we're going to go ahead and chunk this whole thing out. So let's go ahead and get this thing open. Okay, like I said before, the first step is we're going to cut this off. So we're not shaving it down, we're actually going to cut it off. So he actually puts his finger inside and lifts it up so you can see where the seam starts, and then just start to kind of cut it loose from there. So not the cleanest job, but I did get the job done. So the next step is that he kind of shaves this down to make sure it's even. So it's pretty smooth now. Before there was like a big chunk taken out, but now it's a nice smooth slope. Bradley actually takes off the silver skin, so that's the next step is we're gonna take off the silver skin. We're also gonna go ahead and take off this meat right here that's all gray. Cool, so we're all done with the lean side. Now it's time for the fat cap. All right, wow, that's a beautiful fat cap, totally intact. The first thing we're gonna do to the backside of the brisket, the fat cap, is we're gonna remove this glob of fat that's right under the Mohawk that we talked about on the last episode. So the Mohawk is basically a big chunk of meat on the point side of the muscle, pretty much the opposite side of where we cut out that Deckle fat. It's the Deckle fat on the opposite side is under it, as you can see right here. So this chunk of meat, there's a big glob of fat that we need to remove. So I started my cut a little bit too early. Should have been right here, but it's all right. We're learning, we're adapting, everything's good. So now that we've gotten this part of the flat taken care of, we're gonna go ahead and work on the other side. So we're basically going to take the fat down to about 1/4 of an inch, all the way from the point down to the flat. That's all I want to do with the point and the flat on this side. I was a little bit too aggressive with how I cut it, and I scalped it a couple times, as you can see here and in the middle. Okay, so this next part is we got to get the fat out of the Mohawk. Gosh, I don't even know how I'm even going to attempt this. You know what, I think I'm gonna have to watch the video because I don't remember. So after reviewing Bradley's video, I realized something that I didn't notice, and it's again because I'm a barbecue rookie. Basically, this is the Mohawk right here. On this cut, it's kind of like flopping over. So the fat that I wanted to cut is actually on that first cut where I scalped it right here is actually right here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then the fat that I need to cut from the Mohawk is actually all this right here. This brisket just looks so much different than any other brisket that I've done before. So Bradley specifically does not cut off the Mohawk, so I'm actually just gonna leave this whole thing on. And I think that in the end, it will probably produce some really good bites if I take care of it. What's left to do? So we have to basically take off the lean part of this meat that's sticking out, because we want a good combination of meat and fat. And also we want to cut off the meat because, as you can see, I think you can see, pretty thin on this side. So I'm gonna kind of round out the shape like that. Okay, and I think that's all there is to this trim. So like I said, I definitely scalped it pretty badly in some areas. That's my mistake. So when I judge this brisket at the end, I will definitely keep into account that the fat cap might be uneven when I'm slicing the brisket, but that's my own fault. So I'm gonna go ahead and salt and season this thing and then stick it in the fridge and then throw it on the pellet grill later on tonight. So in my last video, I actually forgot to mention what beef rub I'm using for the brisket. So for all the cookouts in this series, I will be using Meathead Goldwyn's Big Bat Beef Rub. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that Meathead Goldwyn's Beef Rub is my favorite, but I am looking to expand my horizons. So I'm taking suggestions. So question of the day, what is your favorite barbecue rub for brisket? I also wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to Airwillson, who donated money to sponsor the brisket for today. So Wilson makes fitness vlogs on his channel, so make sure to check him out in the description below and you won't regret it. If any of you want to help out with the brisket fun, then make sure to check out my Amazon affiliate links in the description below for all of my barbecue equipment and camera equipment that I use on this channel. I get a portion of the sales from those links, so if you do buy something from them, thank you. Okay, so before we cut this thing open, I want to say to make sure to check out Chuds BBQ. Again, he has a fantastic channel and you won't regret checking him out. So let's go ahead and cut this thing open. Gorgeous, man. Look at that fat line right there. Okay, so now we're at the point. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. So this is the Mohawk right here. So I'm gonna cut from this way and then we're gonna get our burnt ends and chopped beef down here. So let's go ahead and go for it. You can see a difference from the burnt end on the side opposite of the Mohawk. So on the Jirby cut, there was a big hunk of fat at the bottom, which is still a little bit there, but since we caved in the Deckle fat on the top of the brisket, when we carved it out, basically all we're left with is a very thin band, so we actually don't have to cut off anything. So this whole chunk right here is a burnt end. Now we're at the Mohawk, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this, separate it out. So yep, still got to cut out a little bit of the fat in the middle right here. Yeah, so after all that trimming, this is all the fat that's left. It's just this. Wow, that's amazing. Because we went into the Mohawk and just carved out the fat, we were able to get a nice bark on the inside of the burnt ends. So like these bites right here, like basically the sandwich of bark. So we have bark on the front, bark on the back. This is gonna be the best part of the brisket right here. I'm really excited to try that. And I'll do that on camera after I'm done slicing this up. All right, so the principles of both styles are about the same. So there's not really much of a difference in the flat or amount of fat that's on each piece. So I'm not gonna make mention of that. The main thing is these burnt ends. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a piece of the Mohawk. So in Jirby's video, he cuts off the Mohawk completely. In Bradley's video, he doesn't. So the end result is you get these really nice burnt end pieces, which I am gonna try, so. Wow. I think I might prefer this to the backyard method, because if you can baby the burnt ends on the side of the Mohawk and also on the other sides of the point, it's definitely worth your time to do this. But anyways, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe and check the next video on your screen, and I will check you guys on the next one.